Yeah. You can hear the difference.
Covered? Good morning. Why is it so fuzzy? Can you guys see that? I think that must be good morning. Can you see it? Send feedback. No. Okay, there we go. Oh good morning. We were seeing fuzzy, you weren't. So good morning, y'all. Sorry, and sorry we're late. It's my fault. Coffee wasn't ready. And we can't have coffee conversation without coffee. So good morning.
Good morning.
It is what is the date today, y'all? I don't have a clue. And somebody left already. I'm sorry. You too. So I'm Amber and go ahead.
She's Amber and I'm Tim.
Go ahead.
And we're two of the five that left the east coast of South Carolina, moved to the Smoky Mountains of East Tennessee.
And here we are having coffee with y'all.
Yeah.
Off grid in the mountains. And welcome. Sherry, if you're here this morning, I can't see that if you're here. I can't see who's here. I just see people here. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you.
I'm pretty sure I got the right day. Hang on, y'all. I don't know what date it is. I was 3 days early. Oh, yeah, it's Sherry's birthday. Happy birthday, Sherry. The other day, wishing her a happy birthday. So I'm like, the worst friend ever. I forgot your birthday. She goes, Amber, it's not till the 19th. I'm like, oh, I'm early. Better be sorry about being early than sorry about being late. Anyways, good morning. So we have coffee once a week on Sundays with y'all, with our friends, and just chit chat. And there it is. Yep, March 19th is her birthday. I just saw your chat, Sherry. So happy birthday, sweetheart. And Sherry, I've got my sourdough starter ready to bring to your house. I just need to get over there. And I'm starting, speaking of sourdough, gluten-free sourdough, hopefully today or tomorrow. So we'll see how that goes. I've talked to friends that have, I just went off the beaten path, didn't I? I talked to friends of a good friend of mine, and she has Butter for All website. If you're not familiar with her website, write it down, butterforall.com. Like F-O-U-R, no, for F-O-R. Butter for F-O-R all.com. Shut up. You're just laughing at me on the inside.
No,
You're supposed to be talking, so I don't muck up. I wasn't planning on talking today. I wasn't planning on talking. Isn't that funny? Wonderful website. She's a sourdough queen. And so I'm telling her, I said, Courtney, girlfriend, I need a gluten-free sourdough. And she goes, nope, got too many starters going. I'm not doing it. Good morning. First time I ever got here on time. Well, good morning. And I'm glad you joined us. I almost didn't make it on time. So I didn't make it on time. Here we are.
Here we are.
But anyways, for about 5 years exactly, almost, it's almost our 5-year anniversary here in Tennessee. We were talking about that yesterday.
5 years.
It wasn't exactly 5 years. We didn't start having coffee conversations until I became desperate. Like I was lonely. I didn't like being in a new place without my friends and family. And I didn't have cell service, so I couldn't call anybody. And I needed that community. I needed my friends. I needed to connect. So I'm like, I'm going to see if I can do a live. And we did. And it more started like just a journal and therapy for me, boo-hooing about all the troubles that were going on. And then it evolved, and we just like having coffee with y'all. So that's why we're here.
It feels like we've been here 10 years.
Oh, Sherry just said she's got a huge SCOBY for me, the lineage of Toby to SCOBY. Wonderful, Sherry. Thank you, because my friend Linda was asking for one, and I haven't split Toby to SCOBY Jr. yet. What do you mean it feels like you've been here 10 years? It does?
Well, I think we've aged an extra 5 years.
Speak for yourself. I was telling them yesterday, y'all just don't know the chaos that we went through, how the devil tried to attack us from following his will, God's will, before we came here. I should have wrote it all down, and I think I did coffee conversations during that time. So I need to go back and see if I can watch those videos. It was on Facebook, though, so I don't know if I can save those or not. But it was tough. It was the people that bought our house were evil. And I'm not just saying this in, uh, light. I don't say that lightly. I mean, the woman, she was an artist, and her artwork, I saw her business portfolio was like the devil eating children and blood coming out and pizza and the third eye thing, and it was evil. I'm not gonna. It was pure evil, and I couldn't believe that what we were going and that God wanted them in our home. I mean, we prayed over every inch of that house. No wonder that woman was so uncomfortable. She couldn't stand to be there the moment they bought it. They were trying to get out of it, and um, and then God put on my heart. It wasn't for them. It was for the son. She had an autistic son, and Morgan, who he moved into her room, prayed over that room and wrote them a letter and everything. So I know he was blessed by being there. But it was a nightmare getting here. I don't want to get into that today.
Well, yeah, and then the house ended up selling again. So the people who bought it from us, they sold it. They made a nice profit off of it.
A huge profit.
Then sold it, and the people who are staying in it now love it, and
the people that are in it now are the ones that are supposed to have it.
Yeah. So
but
I guess it was a stepping stone for the
attacks have come hard and fast. No kidding, Sherry. And they do, and they knock you out. They knock the wind right out of your sail, and it's like a sucker punch. But we made it. We're here, and it's been 5 years. I was telling Timmy yesterday, we were driving, and I said, "Can you believe 5 years ago this time, I aged 10 years in 1 week? It was selling, or 2 weeks, I should say, doing the process of selling the house. It was so tough." And your face, I told you, your face was unshaken. He was the sound one. He was the one that kept me grounded. And I was like, the sky is falling. I've never been in that reverse role before, ever. It was very uncomfortable. If it wasn't for you, I would have lost it. Right over the edge. Your face was unshaken.
God's hands at work, man. You can't mess that up. So.
But I was, that whole... You need to do a little backstory real quick. How did we get here? Why did we leave our home of 20 years that was paid for and beautiful, and a business of over 20 years that was flourishing with a 3-month waiting list and no debt and comfy? Why did we leave that, Timmy?
You get closer to God.
It was all him.
That's all I can say.
I will say this. You can get close to God no matter where you are. I would think it's more living how God intended us to live.
I think it was a building faith, and this is what it took moving here.
How's that worked out for you so far?
It's been good, and
I mean, building your faith. How's that worked out for you? Do you feel like your faith has been built since we left?
My faith is a much stronger than it was. And, we've found a really good church, and we have a pastor that's,
teaching
really,
the Bible.
Is actually teaching the Bible. And
not just, what they call it, feel goodies?
Yeah, and he's not just tingling our ears.
Tickling your ears. So, there we go.
So, I mean, the values and everything that they stand for is,
that's important.
This right here, that's what it's all about. Getting it.
Do you have any regrets about moving?
No.
From South Carolina to here? If we could have our old house back, finished, like it was when we moved, would you go?
It would blow away up on this mountain.
No, would you go back to South Carolina?
No.
We need to adjust the windows right on your face.
No, I would not go back to it.
Come over. They can see my dirty dishes in the sink. There we go. There we go. Whoop, whoop. Why wouldn't you?
Because I'm here. This is my home now.
We talked about that yesterday. How long did it take you to feel like
I would feel like I was going against what God's plans if I went back, and He would take the whole thing from me, but it wouldn't. Yeah.
I'm curious. Has God revealed His plans to you yet?
No.
It's been 5 years. But let me ask you this. Do you feel that we've stuck true to His path that He set forth for you when we moved here? I don't know because it's yours,
I
not me.
don't think fully, but I mean,
You think we got sidetracked from time to time?
yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's part of life and not staying, focused and staying calm and sitting and listening sometimes and just being,
Still,
yeah, and listening to what God has to tell you.
do you feel that you sometimes? I was talking to a friend last night about this. During life, we weren't qualified. First of all, we weren't qualified to do what we're doing. God doesn't call the qualified. If this is the first time hearing it, that's the honest truth. God does not call the qualified. He qualifies the called. Good morning, Dad. Good morning, Joyce. Hope you're feeling better. Dad, you never replied to my text about that, by the way. But Joyce, we've been praying for you, honey. I hope you're feeling better. Um, the hip replacement?
Oh yeah,
Sorry, he's clueless. I mean, he knows, but he's
yeah.
clueless.
I am clueless.
Sorry. But he qualifies the call. He just wants you to be obedient, to say, yes, I'll do it. Lord, whatever you want. And then he'll qualify you. You don't have to worry about that. All too often, us humans rely on our own abilities, always. And we also take all the credit. And those are two big no-nos if you want to follow God's path. You don't rely on your own understanding, your own abilities, and you don't give the credit to yourself. Period. You stay humble and you stay obedient and willing, and God will get it through. Timmy moving here, to everything that we went through, I mean, I'll never forget. I called our realtor, who was a friend of ours, and I said, Joanne, Timmy and I decided we're moving to the mountains. And she goes, okay. I said, we want you to list the house. She's like, okay. So I had her over, and I said, oh, we're going to blow the roof up. We're going to put vaulted ceilings. We're going to change the bathroom. We're going to build a walk-in shower. I said, in this icky bedroom, it's going to be beautiful. We're going to put a closet, and then we're going to rip up all these walls and put new walls in. And in our son's room, we're going to redo this and make the 7.5-foot ceiling, 11-foot ceiling. And she just, her head was fitted. And new roof, new tin roof all the way through, and blah, 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 blah. And she goes, Amber, honey, call me when it's done. And I said, oh, 2 weeks. 2 weeks we'll get all this done. Just him.
Yeah, a couple of weeks.
A year later, when I was beyond frustrated, it happened. And I remember being upset at Timmy going, I'm ready to move. How come it hasn't happened yet? And what did you tell me? When I was so frustrated.
I said, just don't worry about it. It's going to happen. Just hang in there.
And then I said, and you said, God told you to be patient.
Yeah, I remember her asking me that, and we were standing in front of a big pile of scrap wood that we had ripped out of the house. I mean, there was stuff everywhere.
Insulation.
We had so much to clean up, and she was just looking around going, oh my goodness.
I couldn't see it. I couldn't see the vision. I lost the vision. And the thing is God put it on his heart. I need to be obedient, and he's the leader of our home. And so I'm like, okay. And then I said, well, I've been a Christian longer than you. I said, if God wanted us to do this, why didn't he tell me? And then what did you say?
Well.
What did you say? Do you remember?
No.
You don't remember? That was such a pivotal point.
I just remember.
You said because I was supposed to be the one to convince you.
Oh, yeah.
And then I said, okay. I shut up after that. Well, I didn't shut up, but I stopped.
I think God gave me something I'd never had in my life before, and I think he provided me with work.
Patience?
The patience of,
the task that we had.
It was amazing.
And the endurance. You work all day long and come home work all night.
To be able to work all day and come home and work.
And have the energy.
Till 9, 10 o'clock at night,
every night.
and it's just it's something that I needed. I can't believe that I've never been in that position before, but when God's timing is,
When you're following His word and His path,
yeah,
it's a whole different situation than relying on your own skills, your own ability, your own energy, your own knowledge. It's different, y'all.
I think He knew that I was in a place in my life where this would really come in and change me, and I would be so aware of it that I would never forget it. And
Or to be able to doubt that it was Him.
yeah, exactly.
That's the whole thing. During this time, miracles happened, and they've continued to. They're unexplainable. That there's no way that we could doubt that it was Him.
Yeah.
There's no other explanation. And when it was ready, we listed
Yeah.
our house, and it sold in 24 hours, full price cash offer, and they wanted us out in 2 weeks. It was like,
But
and here we are.
I think that our faith was tested because all the glitches in the paperwork at the courthouse,
It was crazy.
and certain
Them
things that would
changing.
just come up, and things that we would have never known about if we hadn't sold the house. And they were like, well, you got to get this and this and this, and this is.
We,
I'm like, unbelievable.
oh no, they
But
kept trying to cancel. They did. They canceled the sale like
canceling,
3 or 4 times,
yeah,
and they'd go back and forth, and the kids would put their notice in, and then they say no, we're staying, and then we put an offer. No, we didn't put the offer in on the land yet. It was just crazy. It was craziness, and it was the 11th hour that it all came through. Even to driving here, and we'll get to that later. I wanted to talk about more on our anniversary, but with our brakes going out in the mountains, and Timmy getting behind the wheel goes, I got this. And we made it all the way to the hotel with no brakes and no brake fluid, and somehow got there safely. And the next morning we still had no brake fluid, but we got to the hotel. Um, but anyhow, and I'll share that story later. But since we've been here, and so again, I was talking to my friend. He's like, I'm not qualified. I said, you're right. And I just left it at that. And I knew I needed to explain. I said, you aren't qualified. You don't have the ability to do that without God. He's qualifying you. So quit putting faith in yourself and put it in Him. Now, saying that whole situation, there's been times because we weren't qualified to build a house with 2 people in 3 months in the top of the mountain off grid with no tools, or well, we had hand tools under extreme situations, extreme rain, extreme heat, extreme environment that we're not familiar with. There was times that broke you.
the load was heavy.
But you were trying to carry that load by yourself at times.
I was mentally and physically. I was, and I broke down, and
We're human.
yeah,
Do you remember under the stress of building this house and everything else that was going on? And when I say everything else, I'm talking about 5 of us living in a tiny room for the first time ever in our lives, all cramped together, no internet, no connection to the outside world, mud, crazy rain. They almost had record-breaking rainfall that year, wild animals coming and eating everything that we owned, not knowing anybody, all of us getting chiggers, all of us getting poison ivy,
yeah,
trying to do all this and raise a senior in high school, build a house. It was just so much. And a land in an area that we knew no one, like nobody. We've never even been here before for a vacation. And during that time, I remember you saying, I'm not qualified.
it was tough.
Do you remember that
but
little conversation?
there were certain things that just I was just amazed at because it was Morgan's senior year in high school.
3-car wreck.
Yeah, but I mean there were certain things that just made me like this is amazing because even though we had to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and she had to catch the school bus came to the end of our road. All I had to do was just get her up and drive her down to the end of the road and she could get on the bus. And our mailbox placement, everybody has to have their mailbox on a certain side of the road, they allowed us to put ours on our
Right on our
side of the road.
driveway. Little things,
Little
the
things
little
like
things.
that it almost it welcomes you. You know, it's like it's okay.
It'll be fine. And then
Yeah,
we've met some wonderful people like Jock and
wonderful
Cherry, and
people.
um, just like-minded folks that have just found us and reached out to us that have become our family. And but I remember saying about this house when we went to build it, because we built it. They filmed it for the Discovery Channel and History Channel, and that wasn't planned. It just happened. And look, we share that story some other time. But I looked at Timmy and we all prayed about it. We're like, do we want this? And then I said, this isn't possible. We're like, there's no way two people or the four of us can, and there's five of us, but little bit, she was six. I said, can build this house in that kind of time. And we told them that we doubted something. And they said, oh, if you get close, we can make it look finished. And we have a way to do magic with TV camera. And I said, if we pull this off, we will know this is a true miracle because there's no earthly explanation of how it can be done with no equipment and and no supplies really. Mill the lumber, use scrap metal. I mean, and it happened, and you did it.
Well,
God did it.
God did it, and I think it was He knew that there was. It wasn't for us. This, this documentary wasn't for us. It was for all of the friends and family that would never ever be able to come here and visit us or see us because they are able to see us and know where we're at and everything without actually
Being
coming
here.
here.
Well,
Yeah.
and then it's Timmy's father since passed, and he was able to see the show a couple of times and just was tickled about it. And his mother too, who's now in a nursing home, and my grandparents that both passed since we moved here, got to see it. So we were able to share this journey with them without them physically being here. But also too, there was things that we talked about because I was I'll share more about this later, but we had to do this house the way we had to do it in order to show others it's possible. The ones that don't want to go in crazy financial debt, that don't have deep, deep, deep pockets, that know they want this lifestyle, but they feel it's so unobtainable because of finances. That's why we were able. That's why we had to build this house the way we did. And I didn't see it then, but I see it now. And not everything was a choice. We did most of it because we had to. We didn't have another choice. And so because the way it's built, more like, that rustic carpenter. Jesus was a carpenter. And he didn't build, to my knowledge, he didn't build, fancy, elaborate, you know, buildings. He built very rustic, common, usable things that made sense. And that's what this house is. And we were able to do it in a way that others can follow our footsteps. They don't have to have deep pockets. They don't have to have fancy equipment. They don't have to have tons of work crew and manpower. They just have to have faith and drive. Faith is the biggest one. What about you? It's been 5 years. How are you now? Where are you now? Are you happy with the progress? I mean, if you look around, are you excited?
Yeah, I'm excited, and I feel like finally that this is home. When we first moved here, I was lost, the roads and everything, and being in the middle of the woods, the the bugs and the snakes and the wild animals. Yeah, I mean, I was in a different place than what we were used to. I mean,
you're not in Kansas anymore, Toto.
Wow. But yeah, we've made this home. I feel like I couldn't go back. I couldn't go anywhere else because I feel like God put me here. And
now that we've tasted this freedom, there's no way I could go back to those four walls. There's no way.
No.
Woo! Hang on, here we go.
even the water that we drink. I mean, we don't. I can't even go into the city and drink the city water now. I mean,
It's horrible.
the water comes out the ground,
It feels
man. And
poison. Well, and just when I'm in the city, the sound, all the stuff in my brain, I just can't handle it.
yeah,
I don't even like the blower blowing on the stove.
I mean, when it's
That hum.
yeah, when it's quiet here, it's
Quiet.
amazing. It's quiet.
It's quiet. You can hear you and your heartbeat. Thank
Yeah.
God. If you're listening. But anyway, so you've got a lot going on this week. As far as have you slowed down at all? Since we moved here and the build of the house, do you feel like you've slowed down?
Maybe physically a little bit. I mean, I still active,
I
but
don't think. Well, I mean, definitely since you stopped filming and building the house, because filming when we were filming the house, we had to work 10, 12 hours a day. We don't have to do that now. But I don't think you've slowed down. We don't have unless we're running errands. Like yesterday was errand day. We had and we only go to errand day like once every 2 to 3 weeks. But we had to hit the feed store, the Rural King, Lowe's, all that good stuff. And other than errand day and church day, you we work every single day. There's never a day that we sit on our bums and don't do anything. Not one.
yeah,
Unless we're sick, and then even then we still have to do chores. But so I don't think that you slow down. I mean, there's not one day that you're not working out of 365,
I
unless
know,
it's errand day.
I know my mind is always, my gears are always turning. I'm thinking about what I need to do and how to get it done, and um, I'm a little happy that springtime's going to be coming up, and we don't have to keep up with the firewood. As far as trying to stay warm, we're going to be able to gather firewood for next winter.
Yeah, we're going to be on top of that
So
this
we're
year.
going to be on top of that.
Wait. Say that again.
Which we've made it through this winter fine, and it wasn't a real bad winter. So
It was a light winter, and
yeah,
we were blessed with that because if it was with Timmy getting the fracture in his spine and being in his shoulder, last summer that lasted all through fall and everything, had we had the weather they predicted, it would have been really, really hard on us. And so, and plus mom moving here and having to keep her warm and the kids moving to their house and them keeping warm. So I'm very thankful for the winter that we've had. Even though I wish it would have gotten cold enough that I could have tapped trees, I'm thankful for the winter that we had. I don't think we'll be so lucky every winter, but we were definitely blessed this winter. But no, you haven't slowed down and you're constantly making progress. We'll never stop, y'all. Well, and they say if you stop being active, that's when your body starts falling apart.
yeah.
You can't not be active. The Bible never promises retirement, honey.
No, I don't. That's not in my vocabulary.
We're living, we got a job to do,
Yeah,
right?
chickens and goats and pigs.
We're living, we got a job to do. We all got a job to do, and it's not to serve ourselves. That first and foremost. But not only that, you've got a job to do that God called you to do. You're qualified. You don't have to worry about the rest. You just have to be faithful
And listen.
and listen. I think we'll talk about being still next week. I've got a huge testimony about that, and I'd love to share it. And I don't know how many others have felt that God's told them just to be still for a moment, even during all of this chaos that we've got going on in our lives. I mean, not like don't do anything. That's crazy. Um, but don't make any, don't make any drastic decisions. Don't, go and pursue a new job. Don't go and sell your house. Don't go and start this big new project. But just to be still, to wait for him, because his timing is perfect, and that's so hard for people like me. Timmy's a doer, and he's very active, but that's not what I'm saying. People like me. Um, but yeah, we'll talk about that next week because we're out of time today.
We're out of time.
Y'all have a blessed Sunday.
Thanks for putting up with us.
Well, I'm glad you got to speak a little bit more. Sorry, y'all. All right, you guys have a good Sunday. Happy birthday, Sherry.
Happy
Love you,
birthday,
honey.
Sherry.